Hi, I want to say thank you for joining me, and that is from the center of my heart. The comments and responses to the YouTube videos I have been making have been just wonderful. I appreciate everybody who's sending me the comments, sending me the questions. If you have an idea for a topic, feel free to get it to me, and in time I will get it out there. Right now I'd like to focus a little bit on the energy of 2011. I know it's been the topic or mentioned over the last few videos that have been made. This is an amazing energy. It's a very high vibrating energy. It's not completely grounded into the earth yet, and at times it is an absolute roller coaster ride. One will be very physical, and then two will be very much into the spiritual. Allow yourself to center and ground. Something that's come up for me here lately are some very physical experiences with a lot of very expanded messages. And isn't that the way life is? Of course it is. We draw these experiences to us to bring us information. When we are able to then breathe, calm, center, ground, and look past what is happening in that moment, we are able to get an expanded view and receive all of the gifts that come in the experience, no matter what it is. I would like to share with you today a little bit of an experience that I've been going through. A lot of my work with people is through example. Why? Because people can relate to it. Of course the other messages come in. They always come in. That's who I am. And of course people benefit there too. For the moment though, we're going to focus on the physical. And there's a reason for this, so stay with me, for at the end of this story, there will be some messages there. At the end of 2010, I was thinking about upgrading my older desktop computer so that I would have Windows 7. I was thinking about some other programs to put in it, to get a monitor that had a camera so that I could start doing webinars. This was really playing in my mind, and I was looking into everything, doing a lot of background study on it. And then I'd go to the stores and I'd view things, that sort of thing. Well, here a few weeks ago, I came to the point, it was about 2 weeks to be exact, it came to the point it was time to move on this, and I checked my computer and I didn't have enough RAM. My husband came home from work and I told him, and he says, you know what, I have some RAM. And he went and got it. Now, first of all, that was very sweet, for that was to be his to put in the computer he was building, and he was willing to give it to me. He went over and got it and began the process. I went off to do a session with a client. I came back, and I could tell by the look on his face something just wasn't right. He didn't look good, and so I asked him about it, asked if the RAM worked. He said it didn't, and now the whole computer didn't work. And you knew by the look in his eyes he thought I was going to lose it. As it was, I looked at him and said, you know what, this is the universe's way of saying upgrade. Just go out and get a new computer. And that made perfect sense to me. We're in a new energy, an energy vibrating high. And I had the ability to say, okay, let's do this. And we went out, bought a new computer. And I was very, very excited about this. We brought it home, and he stopped everything he was doing and set it up for me. And I sat down ecstatic, started the processes, putting in programs, that sort of thing. Then I realized it didn't have the Outlook program, and that's what I use on my desktop. I like that one button click to get to my emails, because I communicate with clients daily. And so I want something right there. I was told about another program that is the replacement for Outlook, Windows Live, and so I downloaded it. I learned a long time ago to back up email addresses due to the computer I had was like 8 years old, and it had actually been repaired several times. The first time, big scare, thought I lost everything. Wonderful friend of mine was able to get into the hard drive and pull up the information so that I could access it and then put it into the computer again. So at that time, I was pretty sure that I had all of my address book backed up. That's one of the most important things to me. And so I started to try to import all of these addresses. They weren't going. Nothing was going to work at all. Didn't matter how I tried, and I spent quite a bit of time on this. And then, the thought hits me again. The universe is saying, let's get things cleaned up. Makes sense. Wonderful new energy, high vibrating, get it in alignment. Over the years, many people had duplicate addresses or multiple addresses. Some had dropped off, some had joined, moved, new phone numbers, that sort of thing. So I went to my online email, sent out group emails to everybody and said, please, if you want to remain on the list, please send me your information. The responses poured in. Every day more were coming in, and I was diligently putting them into my email list. Week and a half goes by. I'm loving it. This new computer, I love Windows 7. All of it's fine. Well, I'm going to let you know right now, I have everything partitioned off for my personal and my work. And so I got up one day. I had been on the computer for quite some time, still getting things going, communicating back and forth. Went to switch from my personal partition to my work partition. Wouldn't go. Wouldn't go at all. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Why won't this work? I spent probably an hour and a half or so moving through everything, and the thought did crossed my mind to call a tech. I was hitting that point, call the tech. And then I thought, you know what? This is an electronic. I know it's not Mercury retrograde, but still, I may have picked up a faulty electronic, and if it's the electronics, it's not worth holding on to. It's only going to have problems later on. So my husband comes home. He can see by the look in my eye that I am not happy, that everything's not good, and he asks me what's happening. And I tell him, and I'm getting ready to box it up, and he's going, well, maybe you should call a tech. And I explain my thinking to him. He goes, okay. So I return the computer, I upgrade the computer, I bring it home, he stops everything he's doing again, reinstalls it all, and complains about all the cables and cords and everything else that's back there. Have you ever noticed, whenever you have any electronic that has a cord, no matter where you put it, all of a sudden there's extra cords, and they come from who knows where, but they grow and they multiply. And so, at that time, that wasn't his focus. His focus was getting the computers going for me, not clearing up cords. We finished this process. I wasn't enthused. I sat down at the computer. I spent approximately 4 hours reloading programs, figuring out I had not backed up the new email responses I had because I hadn't got that far. They were still coming in, but I had kept them on my online server, so I had them. But that meant manually inputting hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of email addresses. I went to bed that night with a terrible headache, tension knots the size of golf balls on my shoulders, and not happy. The next day, I get up and I begin the process still of inputting information into my computer. Dries my throat out thinking about this. Guess I felt a little voiceless and had no ability for speaking or feeling I could speak at this particular experience. Anyway, I was on for probably half hour, 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden this particular computer did the same thing. I couldn't get from one partition to the other. Well, I'm starting to think maybe it's operator error, so I call the tech, and I get in right away, and I get this nice man, absolutely wonderful man. After 2 hours on the phone with him trying many different things, it was decided that I needed to do a complete factory reinstall. So all of the work I'd done the night before, all that I had began that morning, was down the tubes. I was past upset, but I did it. We began the process. He said he'd call me back in about a half hour to help me through after the install was finished. And I says, okay. Well, this had hit afternoon. I had started this in the morning. I rushed in, I get cleaned up for the day, rush back, record time, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Everything, mascara on, you name it. And the call didn't come back in. Computer finished, the reinstall was done, and then I thought, well, you know what, I really don't need him to do this. So I begin that process. And I'm thinking it's moving a little slow, but you know, my mind's tired, I'm frustrated, I think maybe it's just me. So I just kind of overlook that. Until I start to use one of the programs that comes into the computer and it will not work. And I knew what I had to do. It had to go back. I started unplugging cords. I was not happy. It was, what can I say, overwhelming. And then the tech called. I am in tears. I'm just going, no, I can't keep this thing. I'm taking it back. And he's going, but I can help you. And I'm going, no, you can't. And he says, will you hold? And I'm sure he went off to get somebody who could help me, or maybe he had somebody else on the line that was just as distressed as I had been. As it was, he was so sweet, I was holding him. 15 minutes later, I'm going, why am I holding? And I hung up. I proceeded to pack up the computer. I'm going to take 1 second, or maybe 10, to tell you something. When the first computer went out, my husband went with me to the store, put the new computer in the cart, loaded it in the trunk, brought it in the house, unloaded it, put it in the house. That computer that I had to return, he carried it to the trunk. I took it to the store. A clerk unloaded it from the trunk. A clerk loaded it in the trunk. He unloaded it. He brought it into the house. Not the clerk, my husband. With superhuman strength, I packed that computer. I lifted that computer, carried it down the steps to my trunk, to the store, unloaded, reloaded a new computer into the trunk, to my house, unloaded up the stairs and into my house. Oh yeah, I was energized and I was doing it. So, I'm there in the kitchen and because my main computer's in my kitchen, I love it there. And I'm eyeing the box, I'm eyeing my desk, I'm eyeing the box, I'm eyeing my desk, and then it's dawning on me, I am energized. This energy is just flowing. And it's like, where do I start? This is a mission. I will get this thing up. And then the voice came. The voice of calm. The voice I know to listen to. The voice that said, center. You have this energy now. How is it best to be used? What is it that isn't getting done that you have wanted to do? And I stopped and I calmed. I chose to listen to that voice. You know, through all the emotional chaos, the voice was always there. Yet I had somehow got a breath enough that I heard it. And I looked at my desk and I thought, you know, it's time to reorganize, get rid of those extra cords that miraculously grew behind the desk, anything that was back there that shouldn't be. And I began that process. I took step by step, very carefully and slowly, and did everything in a way that was organized and in alignment. I wasn't happy about having to redo all of the process again, yet when I felt myself calm and center, calm and aligned, I knew it was moving in the direction it was meant to go. My husband called me and he says, well, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. And he says, you don't sound fine. I said, no, I'm fine. He says, no, I can tell something's going on. I'm fine. Cherry, something's going on. I can tell by your voice. And I thought, maybe I better let him know. And so I told him, I said, well, guess what? We have another new computer. And he's going, oh, is it safe to come home? And I'm going, well, yeah. He said, are you sure about that? He was kind of like, maybe he should go off somewhere for a day or two until, but you know, the truth of the matter, it was fine. As I was putting the computer, this new one again, as I was cleaning the desk and putting the computer up, thoughts were going through my mind. Like I said, all of a sudden I was calm, I was grounded, I was centered. I was open and I could see and hear the expanded portion of this. The thought came to me is, you know what? I had the ability to replace my computer. For that matter, I had the ability to have the computer in the first place. I had the ability to physically walk, carry, function and think, be able to get in my car, go somewhere and pick something up. There are people out and around that don't have that. They don't have the physical capacity, the emotional capacity, the mental capacity. They don't have a car, they don't have a computer, they don't even have a home, possibly no food. So I was filled with gratitude. I was thankful. Yeah. The next day, as I'm still taking my time getting everything done and organized in a way that was comfortable, the thought was coming to me of all of the blessings that had come through this experience. One, I send out emails and speak to my clients many times, but there are some that I haven't heard from for quite some time. The outpouring of comments, or inpouring, would that be it, when you receive an email? Of comments from the people when they asked me to keep them on their list was amazing. There was such a positive overflow of responses. Each and every person that sent their email, for the most part, sent a little thank you for having me on your email list. You know, without this experience, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known how they felt. What a blessing that is. You know, speaking of the tech, this wonderful man that took his time, yes, it was his job, but he was patient and understanding, tolerant, non-judgmental. What a great thing. As he walked me through various steps, he taught me how to back up the email on the new email program I was using. I didn't know that before. I had a lesson. He also brought me information about my computer that I am not a technical whiz, that I didn't know. And he's going, wow, it's got this, 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 and this. And I'm going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says, and you know it's wireless? And I said, wireless? What do you mean it's wireless? And he says, you don't need a cable. Ooh, how about that? And I said, what do you mean I don't need a cable? And it's wireless. So I unplugged the cable from the back of the computer, and by golly, it was still functioning. That meant one less wire behind it. I wouldn't have known. I got it home. You know, they come with cables. You plug those pups in. That's what I did. My husband wants to build his own computer. The old computer is perfect. He has the computer box and the motherboard and all this other stuff. He's just got to get some, you know, things for it, hard drive, whatever you put in those. So it gifted him with a project, the project he was wanting. Everything was getting updated. I could feel the importance of being in the flow of the new high energy, in alignment, and that's where we are to be. Then the phone rang. And it was my daughter. We got to talking, and I asked her her work schedule, and she said she'd switch shifts with a person she worked with. And I heard the drop in her tone, and she said, yeah, this person she works with is 24 years old, and she needed to go to the viewing of her 23-year-old, 6-month pregnant friend who died in a car accident when she fell asleep at the wheel. Gets you right there. You know, I understand there's more to life than just this physical life, yet we do mourn when we lose somebody we love from the physical world. And the thought rushed through my head, if the worst that's happening to me is I have to manually input hundreds, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and however many hundreds of addresses, so be it. Not so bad. I had a man that loved me enough to give me what was his to fill my needs. What a blessing. Like I said, the messages kept pouring in, pouring in, pouring in. So when something's happening in your life and it feels very distressful, Ground, center, align. Ask what the further message is in it. You're going to find something. Once we allow that emotional fog to clear, we allow a further message. Dearest children, understand, not everything is as you perceive it to be. Through the layers comes information that can be put to great use within your world. Remember, you are the creator of this world. You set about and said, bring this to me. Allow the wisdom that lives within you to bring you the information that it is yours to have. You are wise beyond your own knowing. You are wise and bring things, circumstances to you that benefit you, even in the most uncomfortable. It allows the heart to open, the mind to open, and life to expand before you. Allow each experience, no matter how entangled in the emotional body it is, to become a blessing for you. Look out with eyes of knowing and see the further picture. Allow the mind to expand and grow and interpret the messages that come to you. Feel the blessings through the heart that come within the circumstances. For each experience in your life brings you information for you, about you, or the life you are choosing to live. Allow yourself to rejoice in everything that you have. Hold gratitude for what it is that you have in your life. As you are grateful, that gratefulness expands and brings in more of what is yours to have, that are blessings, joy, love, happiness. Create. Feel the love in this moment. Feel the joy in this moment. Feel the wisdom that you are, the life, the divine life that you are. Yes, dearest ones, every experience brings you a gift. I hope you can feel the energetic tingles that are coming through this, for they are filling my body completely. Thank you once again for joining me. Bye-bye.